Last week we discussed about which body will do it, and we took a look at some of the samples that we need to understand and get our act together in a better way. And then towards the end we mentioned about four different fundamental skills of managing. We're going to pick up at that point, starting with self-esteem. Number one is self-esteem. You have to maintain a team member's self-esteem because it becomes a foundation stone of effective management. Every one of us has a basic need to be seen as a worthwhile, competent, and valuable human being. Anything that undermines or attacks our self-esteem is destructive. It destroys our relations with the attacker, and it destroys our ability to perform. No constructive change can take place in an individual's performance if his or her esteem is undermined. No one likes being embarrassed, and most of all, resent being humiliated. Few people respond well to negative experiences that identify us as less than competent. When self-esteem needs are satisfied, the individual feels confident and competent and useful. Thus, the effective team leader understands the need to maintain and even enhance each team member's self-esteem. It must be an integral part of every interaction between team leader and the team member. Number two is to focus on behavior. Focusing on behavior instead of attitude or personal characteristics is the second fundamental skill of managing. This skill is easy to understand but more difficult to use. That's because we tend to focus on other people's attitudes or personalities when we deal with them. We are continually making judgments about other people's attitudes and personalities and motivations. This person is friendly, this one is hostile, this one is ambitious, this one is lazy, this one is attractive, that one is unappealing, this one is aggressive, that one is timid, this one likes me, this one doesn't. When we do this, we actually base these judgments on the behavior of other people. Someone acts in a certain way, says certain things, or fails to do or say certain things on the basis of behavior that we can clearly observe. We make inference. Inference is a hint or a suggestion about what is going on in other people's minds, which we cannot read. So it's important to learn to distinguish between what we know objectively, those uninfluenced by emotions or personal prejudices, which is clear and variable, and what we know subjectively, which is existing only in the mind, which is murky and not open for verification. So it's simple to assume that we can identify an individual's attitudes by his or her behavior. We know from our own experiences that there are often substantial differences between our attitude toward someone or something and our behavior. We may not like, that is, a coworker, but we may, in the interest of maintaining harmony, behave in ways that hide our true feelings. If that coworker happens to be the leader, we may behave in ways that we will save their jobs. There are discrepancies between our attitudes and our behavior. There is nothing unusual about this phenomenon. Therefore, we have a fairly good notion about what someone else can or cannot know about our inner feelings and attitudes. So it's important to distinguish between behavior and attitude in dealing with team members because our inferences can be and often are wrong. If we express them to a team member and our influences carry any negative connotations, we undermine that team member's self-esteem and damage our relationship with him or her. So by focusing on behavior, on what can be seen and described objectively, team members and leaders can deal with the team members on the basis of facts rather than opinions. We come to number 3, to encourage team member participation. Encouraging team member participation is a third essential skill of managing. It's a skill many team leaders find difficult to master. That's usually because many team leaders know so much about the operations of their departments that they see what has to be done, how, when, where, and by whom, and feel comfortable laying out and executing their plans. It may also be a pattern or training they received from their leaders at work, at school, or at home. And finally, certain team leaders tend to guard their power. They feel they have earned a position of responsibility and they don't want to give up any of the authority by sharing it with team members. There are 2 problems with this approach. 1, it does not leave room for team members to contribute to their department in a meaningful way. And 2, it cuts you off from valuable ideas and suggestions that those who are closest to the work may have. Participation is, in fact, a powerful motivating force that can improve team leadership performance on both an individual and a group basis. And a participant team leader, by sharing some authority with team members, often ends up with more power as a result. Participation relates to the team members' higher level needs for self-esteem and self-actualization. It permits the team members to contribute to their organizations with a personal commitment to the outcome rather than a simple mechanical relationship to the tasks required of them. There is little doubt that involved and committed team members will outperform those who are only task-oriented. So it's important to keep in mind that the degree to which a team leader encourages participation and the degree to which team members will participate will vary from situation to situation and from team member to team member. And 4, it's listening to motivate. Listening to motivate is the 4th fundamental skill of managing. We take listening for granted because it is second nature to us. People were rarely graded on how well they spoke, but if you think about it, how often was a person's ability to speak a major factor in determining their grades in school? And people were never graded on how well they listened. Yet many A's and B's may have been the product of effective listening, and a good many C's, D's, and F's were surely the product of ineffective listening. Listening is a complex skill. There are 6 elements to listening. 1 is reflecting. Reflecting is when you make a response to the speaker to verify what he or she is saying. Number 2, it's probing. Probing is when your response asks for more information or clarity, and most probes are in the form of a question. 3 is supporting. Supporting is showing empathy or understanding for the other person's situation. 4, advising. Advising is giving a response that provides new information to reinforce or change the other person's perspective. 5, attention. You can't effectively listen to anyone if you are not giving him or her undivided attention. The speaker senses this attention when you maintain eye contact, when you nod or say, mm-hmm. 6 is concentration. One of the most important elements of good listening is focusing your mind on the speaker and the message. So these are the basic elements of skill in listening: reflecting, probing, supporting, advising, attention, and concentration. They are also the basic elements of any team leader's skill in motivating team members. And finally, they are essential to every team leader's skills that you will acquire. Next time we meet, we'll look at a summary of the effective supervisor and take a look at some of those questions on listening and put them into action. Until next time, this is Bill Jenick. We learn by doing.